Pregame.com.
Steelers minus 3.5 at Arizona. Marco, I lean Pittsburgh. I lean over here. First question to you, though. The whole coaching connection thing. I have some feelings about that. And just to be specific, is the Arizona staff has at least 2, or I guess 3 now, because they took the cornerbacks coach to be the DC. A lot of coaching connection from the Steelers. When Tomlin was brought in, the staff that left, or the coaches that left, they were up for the job. Pittsburgh clearly beat them in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. As a Pittsburgh expert, what's your take on the effect that staff's going to have?
Well, it's two. They got 2 benefits. One, extra motivation, because both Ken Wisenhunt and Russ Grimm felt slighted that they didn't get the job.
Didn't help them too much in the Super Bowl.
Well, it didn't, but they gave Pittsburgh all they wanted in that Super Bowl, too.
Who even remembers that?
Well, I do, because I was sweating it. But the situation is definitely motivation for them. Anytime they play Pittsburgh, you know they're going to put
Maybe the fact that their job's probably borderline on the line at this point might motivate them, too.
Well, that's another good point. The other thing is they're familiar with Pittsburgh as far as, granted, Tomlin brought in...
But doesn't that go both ways? Because first of all, I think the idea of familiar is, except for the cornersback or the D-backs coach, it's now the DC, Horn or Horton or something. Mm-hmm. To me, I would completely dismiss what you're saying. Is Tomlin didn't coach with them. They didn't coach with Tomlin. But I think on the defensive side of the ball, you've got a coach that was a pupil of our DC. And to me, it's a situation where who's going to gain more from that in your mind? Is it going to be the pupil, or is it going to be the teacher?
Well, you always like to think the teacher always has the upper hand, but the most famous one that people will look at is going to be Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick. Belichick's clear. I mean, I love Bill Parcells, don't get me wrong, but Belichick's...
Is this a debate about Parcells and Belichick as career coaches, or is this a debate how they played when they played each other?
It's how they played when they played each other. Belichick's had the upper hand.
To me, I think that when you have a coach which some may think is going to go down as the best coach in NFL history, the fact that at one time he was a pupil, at some point when he fully matures, then that feels like more the exception than the rule. I mean, typically is if you give full insight to a guy, I mean, who's the better coach, right? Because it seems like the better coach is going to be able to do more with the extra insight. Mm-hmm. So I'm hard-pressed to think that's an advantage for Arizona. I think it may be a small advantage for Pittsburgh. I think it might be overdone. I mean, Tomlin is renowned for, he's no nonsense. He doesn't want to talk about, he hung up on the Jacksonville press last week. They wanted to talk about the 2007 playoff game. He hung up on them. He's focused on the next play, not even the next game. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons for his success, I think. I personally dismiss it. If I just said net result of the coaching connection, is it actually a small advantage for Arizona in your mind?
In my mind, it is, because you know me and you always bust my stones about it. I like the underdog, and to me, when you look at those two, because Wisenhunt really felt like he was going to get the job, that he's got the chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove every time he goes up.
He's got something to prove because he's horrible. the team's no good.
Well, I mean, they're not playing well now. There's no question about that. But give the guy some credit. He did take the team to the Super Bowl, a team that was a perennial loser. So you got to give him something for that.
It's 4 years ago now. I mean,
well, that's when he took the team over. Give him some credit.
Or say he had a Hall of Fame quarterback. Maybe that is what you should think about. All right. So other factors. I want to talk about the actual Jacksonville game. It concerned me a little bit. It's too easy to say, well, they won by 7 or 4. That concerns me. But in the first half, the game went exactly how I expected. And we had the under last week, so clearly we were on. I actually thought Pittsburgh would cover, and in hindsight, the one, the one, I know you leaned underdog there. The one drive when they cut the game down to, I guess it would be 14, or let me see, what that touchdown would have taken it to 7, then they kicked the field. So it was 14, went to 7. There was a roughing the punter, a 4th down conversion. Again, it's a score. But the defense played really well again to me. It didn't, Troy was out with concussion-like symptoms. By the way, he's good to go. They're saying no chance at this point he's going to miss the game. Wallace tweaked his hammy. They say he's good to go, though he missed practice on Wednesday. So injury-wise, I think, we got Legursky out on the line, but that line's pretty interchangeable at this point, and we are getting back 2 of the guys. The second-round pick out of Florida is back this week. So I think the line's at least a net neutral. The thing that concerns me is Big Ben. I mean, quite frankly, Big Ben missed a lot of passes, enough that it was discussed in the one of the press conferences, and he said the wind was really whipping up and bothering him. Now, Big Ben doesn't strike me as a guy that makes excuses. So to me, the question is this. We see something objectively, which is Big Ben didn't play well in the second half. The offense didn't play well. If you can say no big deal because the win was really bad, then I really like Pittsburgh here. But if something's going on with Big Ben, his foot's tweaked, and that's the thing about injuries. You never quite know. Sometimes you just got to look at performance. You watched the game on stream, I'm sure.
Right.
What's your take about Pittsburgh's offense in the second half?
Well, to me, it looked like a team that once they jumped out the way they did quickly, put 17 up right away, this team just kind of started, to me, look like they started to go to sleep. Because one thing for me, if you look at schedule-wise, and I know you don't do that, but as a handicapper, I do, they've got a big stretch coming up. And nobody really took Jacksonville seriously with a rookie quarterback.
I thought motivation, though, was something that it showed on defense.
Well, when you score quickly, you can shut the engines down. You can take your foot off the gas, so to speak. And I think that's part of what happened. Now, to address one thing about the win, you've never gone to Heinz Field, okay? I've been to Heinz Field. When you are in the open end of the stadium there and the wind is blowing, that's why they can't kick field goals. There hasn't been field goal over 50 yards.
So when you go to the concession stand, do you choose your concessions based on the wind?
It depends what I'm ordering, because if I can get splashback, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
if I'm getting
no extra cheese on the nachos.
Yeah, well, the Quaker steak and lube wings, you got to worry about that. That hot sauce coming off. The Permane Brothers sandwich is pretty packed down, so it's got some girth to it, so we're okay.
So
what a guy.
So you're saying win and motivation.
Yeah, it is a situation, and like I said, look what they have come up. They got this game against Arizona, which it is, with all of the connections, it's a big game. But the next 2 games probably are the 2 biggest games of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They come back home, they play New England, who actually just embarrassed them on Sunday Night Football last year, and then they've got the game of the year for them, the rematch with Baltimore on Sunday Night Football.
In July, at Cantor, this line opened up at 7. All right, so let's think about this a second. Right now, the odds makers have Pittsburgh ranked as the 6th best team in the league. If I said by points, plus or minus, entering the season Pittsburgh versus right now. Now let's remember, a point is a lot. All right, you're laying 5 instead of 4. What is your plus minus on Pittsburgh from power ranking wise from the beginning of the year?
I do have it at least 2 points. I'm not impressed with Pittsburgh.
Okay, so let's call it -2. I'm not sure I disagree. I might be 1.5. I think emotionally, we always talk about you see, you feel what you see, you think what you see. I think that Baltimore game just sticks in our head. I mean, really, the stats guys say you take out that Baltimore game, Pittsburgh's look good. Though clearly their strength of schedule has been weak. But I would tend to agree and again, that Houston game, it was Big Ben missed a couple passes again. Big Ben concerns me for whatever, if it's injuries, I don't know what's going on. All right, but let's call it -2. No, you don't know Arizona as well. What's the plus minus on Arizona? Be clear, their over and under for wins was 7.
Right. Arizona right now, I would have to put them, I knew they were going to start
Just try to answer something.
Well, I knew they were going to start the season slow because if you remember, we talked about the lockout. They had a new quarterback.
Did you make a big bet on the under 7?
I didn't make a big bet on the under 7. No.
So you must have agreed with it.
Yeah,
They're underperforming.
They're underperforming right now.
Let's call it -1.
Okay.
All right, so the net is Pittsburgh -1 because if you take a -2 and then adjust, say that Pittsburgh is 1 less than Arizona. How is this line 3.5 now if it was 7?
Well, again, the expectations of the Steelers.
But you just said it's -2.
It is -2, but Cantor.
So overreact.
I think had it. I think they were high in July. To be honest with you.
Well, then why
coming
didn't
into this year,
I
didn't think Pittsburgh was as good as people
That's the thing. You've got
thought.
to use the number. The numbers got to be legit. Because if not, then the huge edge. I'd like to see the ticket on Arizona +7, right?
Well,
the numbers got to be legit. So to me, it's quite simply Baltimore beating Pittsburgh the way they did in Week 1 is just stuck in everyone's minds right now. I think that it's a rare time there's actually value on Pittsburgh. I'm going to project this game 27-20 Pittsburgh. And I tell you, I might be a confident debater, but when it comes to the Steelers and any Pittsburgh team, you're actually, since you came to pregame.com, 67 winners, 29 losers. That's over 50% easy.
Yeah, that's those all Pittsburgh teams. That includes the Panthers.
All Pittsburgh. You were there 46 years, so having you talk about Pittsburgh on these videos is wonderful. You don't have a pick yet on this game. You may have one on Sunday. All right, guys. One other thing, we've made a commitment now. We're going to put every video that we do into the forums in one big old thread, and all the participants, Marco, myself, Vegas Runner, Steven Nover, Brian Leonard, they've all committed to actually answering any and all questions that you ask in that thread. And you can go there directly each week. Just go to pregamevideos.com. It will bring you to the discussion thread. Talk to you there.